I want to take a moment and demonstrate for you how to import an Excel worksheet into your database. So in the chapter, this is the textbook project, on page 28, under the Import an Excel worksheet, step 1, you've created the account table. You've gone in, you've set up all the field names, you specified the data types. So if I come over here to my access table, here is that account table that you have set up thus far in the chapter. Right now, it does not have any records. If I go and look at this in Design View, I'll see that I have the structure set up. I have all of my field names. I have all of my data types. And one key thing I have to point out to you right here, before you start this import process, you have to make sure that you have each one of these field names spelled correctly. They must be spelled correctly, and they must be written correctly. For example, you have account number, account name, street. If you accidentally misspell something, your import will fail because all of the columns in the Excel spreadsheet, the way that they are named, must match identical to what you have in the Access database. So you can't have account number here and then in the Excel spreadsheet have it called account ID. They're not going to match up. That's how Microsoft Access knows where to put the data that is importing into your database. So again, one of the most common reasons for your import to fail is that you have something over here with these field names either spelled incorrectly or you put the wrong field name down. So be very conscientious of that. If your import was to fail, that's the first thing you should come and look at is your field names for each one of these tables. And you can go right back to your textbook and kind of re-verify that you have them named correctly. So I'm going to go back over to the data sheet view of the table, the account table. Right now it does not have any records in it. We're good to go. I'm going to close it out because I don't need it. Now we are ready to actually import. So let's go back over to the textbook for a moment. And on the textbook, you're going to see that it tells me on page 28, step 1, they're telling us to click the external data on the ribbon. When I go to the external data, I'm able to see that there is an import and link group. If you are using Microsoft Access 2016, you do not have this import and link group. This screenshot in your textbook is incorrect. There is not an import and link group when you go to external data, okay? So this is where you're going to have to alter a little bit from what the textbook is showing you. And I'm going to demonstrate that now. So back over in my Access database, I'm going to click external data because that is still the same. But as I mentioned, this is your import and link group. This is your export. So we're over here under the import and link. Notice that this does not look like what you saw on page 28 in your book. Rather than it all being laid out for you, they're going to have you click New Data Source. And when you click New Data Source, you're going to say that you want to import from a file that you have saved on your computer. So we're going to go from File. We're going to say Excel, because it's an Excel file. And this is how you get your import wizard to come up. And from here, we're going to click on Browse. And I downloaded this to my Downloads folder. And here is that account file that I saved from Sam. Here is the account file that I saved from Sam. I'm going to choose to open. Also from there, and I'm going to go back over to my book for just a moment. Once I did that, notice that the directions on step 2 on page 28, they are telling you to, again, navigate to where you have it saved, click on the workbook file, click open. And if I go to the very next page, and I want to kind of show you what it's telling you in the book. If I go to the very next page on page 29, it is, let me back up for a moment, I'm sorry. Let me go back to page 28. It is actually telling you that you are going to append it, okay? And I think they're kind of explaining that in the ribbon. So I'm going to come back over here to my Access window. I'm going to tell Access to append a copy of the records to my account table. Okay, I'm going to append it to my account table. So basically what append means is it's going to go and open up the account table, and it's going to add on to the next record in that database table. Now, as you just saw though, your account table doesn't have any records. So really, this is always probably the option that you want to choose. Because let's say you had 3 records in the account table and you're like, oh man, I have 100 more. Instead of me typing them, I can just import them. Then it would pick up on number 4. So if you choose append, it's going to pick up after the last record that's already there. In our case, we don't have any records, so it's just going to start at the top. Okay, so once we choose append, you've gone in and browsed for your file. I can see that it says account here. I'm going to choose OK. And from this, my wizard pops up. Okay, and again, it's just showing me the data that's going to import. Notice it shows me 15 records. I can kind of get a preview of these records. I'm not going to do anything to them, but I just wanted to point that out. All we want to do is click next. And from here, we're telling it to import to this table, and I'm just going to choose finish. Okay, and then I'm just going to choose close. Your book may tell you to save the import steps. That's not really a big deal. I'm just going to choose close. Now, when I go to that account table, I should see 15 records. And here you go. It has imported each one of those records under the right field name. Okay, so this was a demonstration on how you have to kind of alter a little bit from those textbook directions on page 28. I hope this was helpful.